Hey everybody, I'm the Drink Pro.
Dan Kidd, Heavy Bourbon.
And we are drinking Old Carter Tennessee Bourbon. What's up everybody, Drink Pro yet again. Kyle, thank you all so much for joining me. I am joined today by Heavy Bourbon on Instagram, Dan Kidd, the 2 o'clock chug king, joining me with some beautiful Tennessee bourbon. We're gonna dig right into this and not waste any of y'all's time. Old Carter, how did you get into Old Carter?
That's a good question. I was down in Kentucky. I saw it on a bar. The bottle looked really cool. I said, man, I got to get me some of that. And I think it was like $50 a pour. And I was like, why don't I just buy a bottle instead of getting a drink? So I got batch 1, which we have.
Yeah, I just poured batch 2. This is batch 1.
Batch 1, which we have there, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And then since then, it's been kind of an obsession.
Well, I tell you, the smell coming off this as I'm pouring it is really incredible. It just smells fan-damn-tastic. Old Carter is actually a brand that's been around a long, long time. I was just recently reading a book called Bourbon Empire. A great book. I highly recommend it. But they talk a little bit about the history of bourbon branding and the history of Old Carter and how a lot of old brands are being revived. Well, Old Carter fits squarely into that revival status. I'll probably put some text at the bottom with some information about the history of this brand, but it's a really interesting company. A lot of people are now rediscovering the Old Carter brand, but the products are all being sourced, I believe. And this here is sourced from Tennessee, which we believe to be Dickel. And Dickel's sort of a controversial company, actually. A lot of people don't like the Dickel profile.
I've had some 15-year-old Dickel that was
just not good.
It was trash.
Yeah. Yeah, see, and I've heard that from a lot of different people. Now, I know Old Carter also does some NGP products, which we might sample a little bit later. But for now, we're going to stick with the Dickel profile. You want to go 1, then 2?
So I think 1, then 2.
Yeah, so for us, 1 is going to be on the left. For you all at home, it'll be on the right, which is backwards. Now, I tell you what, the first thing I get is this wonderful, beautiful vanilla caramel. What proof is that at? That's 54.45 proof. What's number 2 there?
2 is 106.9.
All right. Oh, yeah, I said 54.45. It's 108.9 proof. Little bit higher. Oh, man. And now as it kind of opens up a little bit, I'm getting this wonderful, like woody nuttiness. It's really got... sweaty. Oh, okay. Oh, you know, this really stands out to me as just a very classic bourbon nose. It's doing everything you want from a very standard bourbon, but it's doing it in a really wonderful, pretty, sweet, non-astringent way, especially for something that's at high proof. Usually, when you start getting to 55 to 60% alcohol, you're going to get more burn than I get from this. There's a little bit of nuttiness as well.
Getting a little maple syrup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some maple syrup.
I probably nose my bourbon. I mean, you see a lot of chug videos, but normally I'll sit here and I'll nose it for 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, you can, especially with things like this, these are, you know, expensive quality products. You can sit there and nose this for 5 minutes and get different flavors all the time. It's so cool to watch the flavors and aromatics evolve in the glass as you're just sitting there with them. It shows you how much these products can open up.
And this has also been open for...
Yeah, look how, I mean, these are almost empty, and these have been open, how long you say?
I'm going to say at least a year.
Yeah, and they're still really giving off some beautiful notes. Yeah, I mean, just really heavy on the sweet aromatics, really heavy on the baking spices. Cinnamon, clove, a lot of maple syrup and vanilla as well.
I'm ready to drink.
Yeah, let's drink. Cheers, guys. Oh, wow. So I expected it to be a lot sweeter based on the nose, but it's really got that wonderful, like, herbal baking spice. So, like, raw cinnamon, even some, like, fresh herbs you would use in cooking. And then you get this really big woodiness that's not astringent and sharp like some of the drier, oaky flavors that you can get from overaged whiskey, frankly. But this has got this big, bassy woodiness, and it lingers on forever. That just sticks with you.
One of the things I learned in Canada at the Lot 40,
mm-hmm.
so we did a tasting. They had 6 different whiskeys. You know, they had, you would nose it and then you'd taste it, and then they had on the card it said, if you wait a minute and a half, go back, smell your glass. It's gonna smell like apple pie or whatever it was.
Very cool.
It was wild.
With the empty glass.
With the empty glass,
yeah.
And each of them had different time frames to do that, and then different different distinct smells.
Oh, I love that. That's a very good idea.
And I actually enjoyed. I was not a big fan of Lot 40. I actually enjoyed the after smell better than the before or the taste. Yeah, so.
It's so rich and spicy and nutty, and then the wood shows up. It's really a bassy bourbon. A lot of that lower, richer note is just pervasive throughout this, but it's not nearly as sharp as I would expect it to be for something that's giving me that much oakiness, that much herbalness. By comparison, I've had a lot of Willet products that remind me of this in terms of their earthy herbal notes, but they're a lot sharper.
Yeah.
And you don't get the baking spices, you don't get the undertones of sweetness that are showing up in this. So this is a really wonderful expression. Let's try the second glass here. This is batch 2. 1% less alcohol. Not a lot different on paper, at the very least. They're both barrel strength, both bottled in Bardstown. They're both Tennessee sourced. Oh, but the nose... Ooh. Yeah, there's something different going on there.
That's a lot more mellow.
It's more mellow. I'm getting a little bit of like a fruity note from this. A lot of the baking spice aromatics are quieter in the second batch than they were in the first one, and they're sort of being replaced by an almost fruitiness. You had such a sweet honey combined with like a cinnamon clove baking spice, and now you've got that sweet honey, but also this sort of fruit note, almost an apple, almost a berry.
I want to say the last time I did batches 1 through 3, I think 2 won out of my pick.
Oh,
that's a lot smoother.
Yeah, it doesn't have any of... That's so interesting. Oh boy, go back to the nose. When you go back to the nose after tasting it, I get a lot more of the vanilla shows up, and the caramel shows up. I mean, you still have that fruity note, but the fruity note is quieter compared to these other wonderful sweet aromatics. There's some nice cedar note to this. Like, on the nose, I'm getting cedar wood, which is not something I usually pick up. I'm loving it. Now, don't go into these expecting them to be sweet. These are not your candy apple bourbons that you're going to get from a lot of whiskeys. These are woody, earthy, oaky. But number 2 has a much smoother presentation. So the jagged edges are cut off, but you still have so much roundness and so much size. Oh, that's just fantastic. So I'm gonna just grill you a little bit, Dan. So what got you into whiskey collecting and whiskey drinking?
Well, the bottles look so pretty. I did a barrel pick, the Woodford barrel pick from St. Elmo's. I believe it was their first or second one.
Okay.
So I always drank whiskey in college, but it was the real cheap stuff, and you'd shoot it $10 a fifth and collect the bottles. So actually going down to Woodford, we sat down, we had...
So wait, so you made quite a jump there. You were going from like drinking whiskey in a very college way.
Very college way,
and then you just went immediately to, I'm going on a barrel pick. How did you get connected with this? Was it just like friends you knew, or did you work with the company?
I was a valet manager for St. Elmo, and then they said, hey, you should drive us down. I mean, I was part of the crew, but I was the sober part of the crew until we got to do the actual tasting. But yeah, we had so my first experience into it. Chris Morris, master distiller. We were having breakfast with him. Yeah, he's walking us around the distillery. Giving us the full tour, checking out the rick houses. And then we sat down and we had, I believe we had 6 different barrels to choose from. And so we're sitting down at a table. We're getting his tasting notes.
You're getting Chris's tasting notes?
Chris's tasting notes, and we're all, we're choosing our favorite. We wound up doing, I think that was a blend. So it was just a lot of fun, we chose our top 2, and we blended them, and it was just a lot of fun. So from there, I mean, the love just kind of grew. I think my first, expensive purchase, hopefully the wife isn't watching, was I bought the E.H. Taylor Tornado and the Sour Mash and then the Cured Oak. So that was one big package deal.
Oh, you bought all 3 of them just all in one?
Got all 3 of those in one. The price was way lower than it is now.
Well, now those are a couple $1,000s each.
Yeah. And then it gets addicting. I mean, you want to collect them. You gotta catch them all. You gotta
catch them all, man.
So
I'm just sitting here nosing both these and having a great time listening to Dan tell stories.
Man. From there, man.
I gotta say, I think both of these are really wonderful. I think I do probably prefer the second one, only because I really personally love the fruitier notes. And on the palate, they're very similar to me. But the first one, the nose, is a little bit more of that aromatic fruit component, which just draws me in. If you like a spicier whiskey, I'd go with the batch one. But these are not particularly easy to find no matter what you do. You're going to have to hunt them down, look out for them.
I think these are probably secondary only.
Yeah, you're not going to find these on a store shelf.
Well, there's only...
you better find some good friends.
There's only 1,500 of these made. Well, and then that was 1567. So
yeah, so these are pretty limited releases, but I know they're still out there. People can still find them.
I've got a few in the.
He's got a few in the vault.
I've got a few in the vault.
Well, thanks so much for stopping by, Dan.
Awesome.
Check him out at Heavy Bourbon on Instagram. Keep following me, The Drink Pro, wherever you can find me. I'm gonna keep drinking both of these, maybe at the same time, and you all keep drinking like professionals. Cheers.
Cheers. That was good.
Cheers.
Fuck. Let's do it. I gotta get it's plastic. It fucks me up every time.
This is the content you stuck around for. Watch us pull on our cell phones. By the way, all of the glassware we're drinking is